This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
You've got a great idea for a small business, but you just can't get it off the ground. You want to be your own boss, set your own hours. Well, new year means new opportunities, and Shopify's got you covered to help get your venture off the ground. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. You can get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. And they help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard. Don't kick yourself next holiday season when your 2025 resolution list looks the same as it does today. Make it happen with Shopify. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/income.
Hey everybody. With the 67th Annual Grammy Awards coming this Sunday, February 2nd, 2025, we thought this was the perfect time to give you our pre-Grammy analysis for Song of the Year. That's right, my trusty co-host and producer, Chris Fafalios, and myself will discuss all 8 songs and nominees this year. Starting in no particular order, with a bar song, Tipsy by Shaboozey, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Fortnight by Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone, Good Luck Babe by Chappell Roan, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, Please 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 by Sabrina Carpenter, and Texas Hold'em by Beyoncé. So join along as Chris and I analyze each song and share our individual picks for Song of the Year.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast.
All right, Chris, something a little new here for everybody listening, but this is going to be a lot of fun. This was your idea, and I'm glad we're doing it.
We do a songwriting podcast, Chris, and I can't believe it has taken us into our 5th year of doing this podcast to think about doing this. I think we should do this every year now. We are going to talk about all the nominees for Song of the Year at the Grammys, and I'm especially looking forward to this, Chris, because I knew all of these songs, but I would think that maybe you didn't know some of these songs, right?
No, I didn't. A couple of them I've heard. They're just too big. You're going to hear them in everyday life, sporting events, restaurants, etc. Airports.
Yeah,
definitely heard a couple of these in airports. Spent a lot of my time in airports. But what's cool about this, and I've said this before on the show, that my appreciation for works of art, in this instance, 3 to 4 to 5 minutes at a time, these little capsules of art, my appreciation is just looking at it this way is so different than it's ever been. And being able to look at songs that are popular today, even though they might not hit me for whatever reason, I'm able to look at them, critique them, and analyze them probably differently than I would have 5 or 10 years ago. I don't like that. You know, I'm able to appreciate it for what it's worth. And I'm excited about this.
Do you credit the podcast for that to a certain extent?
Oh, absolutely. The podcast has changed everything for that. Yeah. Being able to analyze songs. I mean, even with my writing, I've gotten really good at editing my songs, more so than I used to, because I'm looking at them differently. I say, hey, what about that trick from that Toadies song? Yeah, I'm going to throw that in here. You know, I'm only going to do it 3 times. That's kind of jarring, but it's cool.
Sadly, the Toadies weren't nominated for Song of the Year this year, Chris. But what I do want to say is that, Chris, I have a challenge for the both of us. I think you probably have a better chance than I do, but maybe we both have a shot of it. A lot of people wonder, how do these songs become the nominees, and then who decides who the winner is and stuff? Well, it's the Recording Academy, which is an academy of musicians, producers, recording engineers, and other music professionals. So then I was thinking, well, how do you become a member of the Recording Academy? Well, Chris, I believe that you and I should both try this year, in the year 2025. Let's make the effort to become members of the Recording Academy and have a say in this stuff, because I looked it up and here's how you go about it. The membership is community-driven and peer-reviewed on an annual cycle. So basically, both of us would just have to get 2 strong recommendations from music industry peers. So, you definitely know some producers you've worked with. Maybe Howard Benson would be a good person to get a recommendation from for you. We both know people that we could get recommendations from. And then after you get those recommendations, you message the Academy and you tell them more about your career. Of course, you're going to talk to them about Less Than Jake, but the fact that you've been doing a songwriting podcast for 5 years. And then if you're approved by the peer review, you're invited to join the Recording Academy. Wouldn't that be cool if we joined the Recording Academy?
Hey, Howard, it's Chris DeMakes. Who? Howard, hello.
Right. I mean, I think he would give you a strong recommendation. I would hope so anyway.
I do too, and I also want to say either ASCAP or BMI. You have to have some kind of publishing company, because I'm all the time getting offers to join this somehow through ASCAP. All the time to be. Yeah. So I don't know if it's as easy as you laid out, getting a couple references or who knows.
I got that from the Grammys website. So
that's probably right.
Pretty good source. So let's make an effort to do this. And Chris, a couple more things before we get into the nominees for this year. In general, these 8 songs, did they exceed your expectations? Did they just meet your expectations of songs for Song of the Year? Or were you a little bit underwhelmed? You could tell the truth.
I think, how'd you word the second one, Chris?
Did they just right on par with what you thought your expectations would be?
Kind of. That B and C. Yeah, I was a little underwhelmed at points. There was other stuff that I thought was pure genius. It was kind of a little all over the place. But I was going to ask, do you know any other statistics in terms of, were these mostly on streaming like Spotify and sites of that nature? Was this commercial radio, just digital radio? How was this broke down for the Grammys to decide?
I don't know that part of it, but I will tell you, all 8 of these songs are enormous. And I got to think that more than ever, streaming and even YouTube, to a certain extent, is proof of how huge these songs are and how many ears they've hit.
Oh, I mean, the Billie Eilish song alone has after 4 months, 145 million plays. So, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to gauge this. I didn't know if there were specific things they were looking at, because certainly there's other songs that this year have been massive. I mean, you never know what is going to go viral, and some of those songs never end up making it to Song of the Year.
Yeah, that's why we got to join that Recording Academy, Chris, so we have a say in this kind of stuff. One thing I wanted to bring up was some of the past winners of this. Now, I will say, we're going to get to it. You just brought up Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish has won Song of the Year twice in the past 10 years. She won it last year for What Was I Made For from the Barbie soundtrack, and then she won it in 2020 for Bad Guy. Yes. So she has already won it twice lately, as has another nominee this year, Bruno Mars. He has won it twice in the past decade. One time for the solo song That's What I Like, and one time for his project Silk Sonic for the song Leave the Door Open. So both of those people that are nominated this year have won Song of the Year twice in the past decade.
That's right. And we also have a producer that produced a couple songs this year in the name of Jack Antonoff. And right. Jack used to play in the band Fun. He also, he produced 2 songs on here and wrote 2 songs. It's the creme de la creme here, Chris, of producers and songwriters of today. Definitely for pop music, and I'm not going to be that old guy. Oh, this is more pop driven than anything. Well, that's just kind of what today is. This is the same argument back in the day of, there's no punk bands on Warped Tour. It's like, well, punk bands aren't selling out 10,000 seats. It's like, you got to do kind of follow the money trail here, and this is what is of the now, and I'm able to absolutely appreciate that for what it is. And I think we're going to go in order here, what you sent over, correct?
Yeah. One more thing I want to say, Chris, that I want to bring to your attention. For all of her accolades and awards, Taylor Swift has not won Song of the Year before. That was surprising to me. I did want to rapid fire list off some other songs just so people know songs that have won Song of the Year in the past. This Is America from Childish Gambino. You just brought up Fun. They won for We Are Young. So yes, we have broken down a song that won Song of the Year before on the show. Adele has won it twice. Beyoncé won it for Single Ladies. Amy Winehouse, we did an episode about Amy Winehouse before. She won it for Rehab. Eric Clapton won it twice in the 90s. Two terrible songs, Tears in Heaven and Change the World. I hate those songs. We Are the World won it. Don't Worry, Be Happy. We've talked about that a lot of times. That one. Every Breath You Take, another song we've talked about a lot on the podcast. I loved this early 80s back-to-back, Chris. What a Fool Believes won it, and then Sailing won it the next year in 80 and 81. Love that. You've Got a Friend from James Taylor and Carole King. And the only Beatles song that ever won Song of the Year was Michelle, which I thought was surprising.
That's definitely odd. And I'm reading the Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers book right now, his autobiography. And yes, he definitely talks about singing on Christopher Cross's record in that whole time period, which is really cool. Something else before we dive in, Chris. On purpose, I did not watch any of the videos. I did not want to be influenced because Chris was kind enough to send me some notes over with some links. I did not want to look to be at all swayed by what I saw with my eyes. I wanted to just hear the song. So I went and watched the videos afterwards, but I wanted to hear the songs just for what they were. The first song we're going to talk about, and this whole story is absolutely amazing, a bar song, Tipsy by Shaboozey.
Oh my good Lord. Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jay Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. Everybody at the bar.
Now, we're recording this beforehand, so I don't know if it went on to break the record, but it was on pace to break the record for the longest streak at number one on the Hot 100. And what was at risk of knocking it off, of course, was Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, that goes to number one every single year. But regardless of whether it hit that mark or not, its run at number one is insane. I would have never expected that for this song. What are your thoughts about this song, Chris? What were your first thoughts, and how do you feel about it?
All right, well, the song interpolates Jaquan's 2004 single, Tipsy.
Yeah.
First reaction, I wrote, easily digestible for the masses. It's fun. It's not deep or thought-provoking, and in this instance, I think it's great. I like this song.
You know,
this song's fun. My grandma could listen to this. It's not offensive. And I mean, sometimes that's like, oh, it's not offensive. It's hokey and it doesn't have any feeling behind it. But I didn't think I was going to like this, and I did.
You know, my first instinct was to not like this song and to be annoyed by it. But I got to admit, it's catchy. The melodies get stuck in your head. And like you said, it's fun and it's a good soundtrack for exactly what it's intended for having some drinks. You know, it's the weekend and you're ready to have fun. As a guy who does not like country music, especially pop country music, I think this is a good country song.
And it's funny because the singing and delivery, it's 80%, I guess, country with a little bit of a drawl, but it still has that hip hop kind of thing to it. So, you know, I don't know. It's like I said, it's easily digestible. On first listen, I kind of was bopping along, and I wouldn't change it if it came on the radio station. I think that for me speaks volumes.
You know, the combination of rap and country could be theoretically the worst thing ever. And I think this is about as good as that combination of styles could be.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's way more country than it is rap, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I put it at least 80. I'm speaking just the vocal take on it. And it's just, I don't know. It's just a fun song. It hit number 1 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. It came after Beyonce's Texas Hold'em, which we'll talk about a little bit later, making it the first time in history that 2 consecutive black artists held number 1 positions on that chart. And this was the 4th single from Shaboozey's 3rd album, Where I've Been Isn't Where I'm Going. I like this one. Do I think it's Song of the Year? I'm not going to give you that pick till the end, but I liked it. Right off the bat, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm stoked. I want to hear all the rest of these now.
We'll save what we think the best is and what we think is going to win for the end. But if this was going off of chart success, this would be the runaway winner.
Yeah. And you can't, that's not what we're measuring this off of. I'm measuring this off, for me, what moves me the most out of a piece of pop music for 3.5-4 minutes.
And this one is just a feel-good song. Like you said, it doesn't go much deeper than that, really. But if you're in the right state of mind, this one makes you feel good.
There you go. The second on the list is Birds of a Feather. And these are in no particular order, as I mentioned at the top intro. Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. Written by Billie and her brother, Phineas O'Connell. Was also produced by Phineas. He's been doing production work, him and his sister, since she began way back in 2013 or 14. Her first record, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, her debut album, man, that's the one with Bad Guy on it. And I became familiar with that record because my wife loves it. She was given it on a mix CD or something back when it was released, and my kids absolutely love it. The production on that record, everything about it sounded new to these ears. It sounded like, wow, someone's breaking ground into almost this robotic world of, what is this? There's some sounds I've never heard before. But this track for me, and I'm not a Billie Eilish hater at all, I think she's phenomenal, kind of laid flat. I just, how about you? What do you think?
Wow, I'm completely on the opposite side of that fence, Chris, because Billie Eilish, I've always kind of liked Billie Eilish, and I always knew that I was going to get to a point where I'm like, oh my God, I love Billie Eilish. Just the right song hadn't come along yet. And this is that song for me.
Interesting.
This song, from the first time I heard it, hit me so hard. And not to get all sappy, Chris, but the way I heard this song was my girlfriend and I and some friends went duck pin bowling, and I took some videos of it, okay? And I was going to post a video on Instagram, and I posted it, and I wanted to put some music in the background. So I clicked the little music icon, and this was the first song that came up, and I didn't know it. And it started playing, and something about the sound of this song and the lyrics hit me so hard, and I used it as the music in that video because, I don't know, I have a really good relationship with my girlfriend, and this song just kind of like made me feel all the feelings of that for some reason. And I really liked the message of it. And I like this sort of juxtaposition of how nice this song is. It's like a real breezy, happy sounding song. But if you look at the lyrics of the first verse, it's so funny how she mixes like the nice with the morbid. Because unless you're paying attention, you might not notice that she says, I want you to stay till I'm in the grave, till I rot away, dead and buried, till I'm in the casket you carry. If you go, I'm going too, 'cause it was always you. And if I'm turning blue, please don't save me. Nothing left to lose without my baby. And if you're not paying attention, you might not notice how dark those lyrics are, but they're also so nice at the same time. I am on the other side of the fence here, Chris. I love this song.
Interesting. Okay, well, it didn't touch me that way. And again, not because I don't like what she does, but, You Should See Me in a Crown, Bad Guy, Wish You Were Gay, some of the tunes on that first record. This sounds just to me a little more pedestrian for what Billie Eilish, what I perceived her at. This was surprising to me. Another couple notes here, Chris. 80s feel-good pop, it reminds me of, with modern production flourishes. I put shit with echo for the kids. It's not angsty or edgy, and that's kind of the vibe that she gave me.
Yeah.
And I understand the lyrics. I read some of them. Birds of a feather, instead of flock together, she said stick together. And I don't know, nothing really grabbed me. And I thought that was the chorus of the song, which interestingly enough, Chris, only happens twice. She says that birds of a feather line. I know there's a story going on here. I know that it hit you a certain way. I think the song's good, but I like other Billie songs better.
Well, I get that. And it's funny too that you said that, like, musically, this is her most accessible poppy song probably ever. And if you listen to the rest of the album, it's real dark and nothing like this song. This song stands alone.
Okay.
And I'm a pop guy, so I'm a sucker for a song like this. But I do think you have a good point, and I see why you could view this song as a little more pedestrian. Yeah.
That's right. And lastly, this is the second single from Billie's third studio album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. And the next one is Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars.
If the world was ending, I wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile. If the world was ending, I wanna be next to you.
Thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts are that you just used the word pedestrian about the Billie Eilish song, and that is kind of how I feel about this song. Undeniably catchy. I almost envision when they were writing and producing this song that they had in mind, I know this isn't true, but it almost feels like, let's write a song to try to win Song of the Year at the Grammys, if that makes sense.
Okay. And that's a great take on it. And there's a couple songs ahead here that we're going to get to, which, is there behind the scenes things at play here, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And you just said it. Is there something more here? Was it, were they in cahoots thinking, hey, if we do this, we're pretty big stars. We just got to write an okay song.
Sure. Yeah. You're combining two of the biggest stars in the world to make a song together that's like a love ballad. That's what I'm getting at here. But it's a good song. Don't get me wrong.
Yep. It was written by Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, Andrew Watt, interestingly enough. You familiar with him?
I'm not.
Yeah, Andrew is like, I want to say 30 years old, relatively young. He's produced for Ozzy, The Stones, Post Malone, Pearl Jam. Wow. Wrote this song. So he's got his fingers in a lot of different pieces of the song game here. James Fauntleroy, who I did not look up, and Ernst Emil II. James
Fauntleroy, that is someone I know and I'm a fan of. He worked with like Rihanna and Frank Ocean. And it's so funny. James Fauntleroy wrote this song called Fertilizer that on Frank Ocean's Channel Orange album, he uses this song as like an interlude. It's like a 30-second interlude, but you can go on like SoundCloud and find the James Fauntleroy full version of it. And it's like amazing. He's like in my opinion, like a genius songwriter. So I was impressed to see his name as a writer on this song.
Okay. Well, I think that every generation, you always get the duet. You had Endless Love back in the day. More recent, I say recent, in the last 25 years. I remember Sheryl Crow did that track with Kid Rock. I'm a sucker for duets. I love duets if they're done well. And it's funny how you feel this song's a little bit maybe pedestrian or kind of run-of-the-mill. For me, I said this was the best song so far out of the three in my notes. Great feel, classy vocal from both Gaga and Bruno. I feel this like the song's kind of timeless. I could see this in a movie scene with them dancing at the end and the big dip at the end. I don't know. I love her vocals. I think Bruno Mars is awesome. Together, I love it. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did go through after the fact and read the lyrics to each of these 8 songs. I did comb through them. And it's funny, on all 3 songs so far, including this one, there's lyrics in here. And I've said this before, you and I have talked about it. There's lyrics in here that I'm like, I would get laughed out of the building if I tried to sing these with any type of conviction. But I don't know if it's because they're huge stars, they made it sell, but there's some stuff here I go, man, on paper, that's just one of the cheesiest things ever, but man, it works here. I love this track.
Dude, there is a running theme, and I don't know if this is foreboding or what, but in these songs, I brought up those like dark lyrics in the Billie Eilish song that are like about dying and stuff. Then there's a whole verse in here. If the world was ending, I'd want to be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I'd want to hold you for just a little while. This like, it feels like apocalyptic type thinking is like a part of so many of these songs.
You're kind of foreshadowing here, Chris. That was my next notes on the next track we'll get to in a second. It's like, yeah, you can kind of feel the sign of the times.
Yeah.
You know, especially the American public. We've been put through the ringer the last 5 years. Everyone's over it. And you can kind of feel some of that angst in these lyrics, which is funny. Let's go back to the Billie Eilish song real quick. Very angsty lyrics, but one of her most poppy songs, which I love that juxtaposition too. Having dark lyrics with poppy stuff, that's cool too. But I'm definitely picking up on the dark vibes here.
Yeah, and I will say that you are correct about this Lady Gaga Bruno Mars song. It definitely sounds classy. I think that's like a good way to put it. It's classic. It sounds like an instant classic love song. And this is probably, of the 8 songs, the one that I've spent the least amount of time with. And I know that people do love this song. And I'm a huge Bruno Mars fan. Lady Gaga, I can give or take. She's had a few songs I like. I love Bruno Mars. He just right up my alley of stuff I like. And I think that this song will grow on me more. I didn't mean to insinuate like I didn't like it or something, but
yeah, no, I this song to me is it's classy. I'll use that term again. In here I wrote down some timeless, classy songs. Unchained Melody. It's just like, you can't F with that song. It's just, and I don't know if in 60 years if people feel the same way about this. But for right now, it feels, out of the other songs so far, feels very classy to me. The next song. And this one's interesting too. Fortnight featuring Post Malone by Taylor Swift.
Good neighbors, your wife waters flowers. I wanna kill her. And for a fortnight there we were together, running to the times, calm and calm. My sweater, now you're at the mailbox, turned into good neighbors. My husband is cheating.
Now, I brought up the fact that Taylor Swift hasn't yet won Song of the Year.
I don't think this one's going to do it.
I don't either, man. I mean, think about all the jams she has written.
I got 3 words for you. Shake it off.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Just that alone. I mean, she's written 30 mega hits, but
this one at this point, and I'm not taking anything away from Jack Antonoff, at this point, he is one of the most accomplished producers ever. It's like a dude kind of from our world who has went on to become one of the most successful producers ever. But there is something, I'm getting fatigued with his production.
Okay, well, you took the words out of my mouth. We're gonna get to another Jack song, Jack Antonoff produced song in a little bit, but I'm gonna use the word pedestrian again, Chris.
Yeah.
I feel almost the same thing about this song as I did Billie's song. I know Taylor Swift lovers gravitate towards her lyrics, much like Billie's. I think that's the strongest part of this song. The music to me and the melodies, that it doesn't lift.
Dude.
It doesn't give me those immediate goosebumps, and most of her songs do.
The morning that this album came out, the Tortured Poets Department, Matt Kelly and I did an episode of One Hit Thunder where we did instant reactions to this album. And it was like the whole internet was deciphering the lyrics. But I care about lyrics, but to be honest, I lean more on the melody side, and a lot of songs, it felt like the lyrics were forced in. And I don't really feel that way about this one, but there isn't anything super special about the melodies or the lyrics of this song to me. Once again, Chris, you talk about dark stuff in these songs. She's saying, now you're in my backyard, turned into good neighbors. Your wife waters flowers. I want to kill her is one of the lyrics in this song. So once again, we have the subject of like death in one of these songs.
Yeah, it goes on to say the lyrics portray a woman in an unhappy marriage who rekindles with the next lover who is also married, and the two vow to escape to Florida. And
of all places.
Of all places. I mean, I guess I get that, but just upon just closing my eyes and taking the song in, I was trying to find that hook. I was trying to find every hair on my body stand up. I didn't get it. And I will say, I'm a big Post Malone fan. Recently covered one of his songs with John. Yeah. I don't think Posty's involvement makes this song better. I don't think he does anything to lift it, right?
It does not. And I'll tell you, I am conflicted on Post Malone because sometimes I think he's incredible. He seems like a cool guy in general. So I'm just talking musically. Sometimes, like, he put out this pop album a few years ago where I'm like, oh my God, I love this. And there's been selected songs that I think are great. And then I also think he's been part of some of the worst songs that I've heard. He's like the new Red Hot Chili Peppers, who I jokingly say have written some of the best and some of the worst songs ever written. But I feel like Post Malone's like that too, where it's like the dude takes some swings. I'll give him that. But at the same time, like, I watched him perform at the NBA All-Star game. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst performance. It was so bad.
The head scratcher for me, Chris, on this was, Post Malone doesn't need Taylor Swift and vice versa. They're mega stars. And I think that if you're going to collaborate with somebody, at least make it feel like what Gaga and Bruno Mars did to me. Okay. Yeah. This doesn't seem like a collaboration worth even putting Post's name on. It just seems kind of irrelevant, right?
Yeah. He's singing like backup vocals or something. Like he doesn't like take a main part of the song or something. Yeah. It seems pretty pointless.
Kind of a head scratcher for me too.
Definitely underwhelmed by this song. Spoiler alert, this won't be my choice. Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our special Grammys Song of the Year preview episode after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with the Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at AmericanExpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bruce.
And I'm Nolan, and this is the Corner of Gray Street podcast. As longtime Dave Matthews Band fans, we set out to create a podcast to dive deep into the past, present, and future of DMB.
Not only do we recap and review shows within an ongoing tour, but we revisit past shows from throughout the band's history, conduct interviews with a wide variety of guests with ties to DMB, and create unique and exclusive content like our Concerts on the Corner series.
Whether you're a fan of the band or just a fan of great music, we think you'll find something you'll enjoy. We can't wait to see you on the Corner of Gray Street.
Hello, Tom May here, host of Future Friday. I've spent the last 15 years on the road with my band, The Menzingers, where I've met all kinds of wild and fascinating people. So I started a podcast. On Future Friday, I talk to fellow musicians about the moments that made them, their passions outside of music, and the curiosities that tie us all together. I've also talked to the likes of UFO researchers, magicians, soldiers, and documentary filmmakers, and I'm constantly searching for folks that can shape and change our view of the world. You can check out Future Friday wherever you like.
Hi, this is Chad Nicefield.
And this is Justin Press.
We're the host of Making Waves, the Shiprock podcast, a part of the Sound Talent Media Podcast Network. We're inviting you to sail away with us on an epic journey in musical enlightenment. Every week, we bring you only the best artists in rock music and discuss everything from the cruise, to the stage, to the saga of being a professional recording artist. We'll have lots of special guests along the way, so tune in every week.
Your stateroom is available every Monday morning, so welcome aboard.
Hi, I'm Daniela Clark.
I'm Barbara Ann Wild.
And we are the Honest AF Show.
Our podcast is real, honest conversation with our celebrity friends and pros.
Covering our anything but average rock and roll lifestyles.
All while tackling the hell that is aging and the battle of beauty.
Oh yeah, nothing is off the table.
The Honest AF Show is available wherever you get your podcasts.
Every listener to Too Much Effing Perspective knows that my co-host Alan Keller is a music nerd. And right up there in his pantheon with the Beatles and Elvis Costello is The Clash. So Alan, it's one thing for you to be a nerd, but how did you rope in a cool guy, 311's Nick Hexum, into a full-on Clash geek fest on our show?
Well, first of all, Alex, it was your idea.
Oh, right.
Second, Nick actually jammed with The Clash's Joe Strummer in a supergroup that included Flea and Tom Morello.
Okay, well, there is that.
And finally, one member of The Clash cited This Is Spinal Tap, the reason our show even exists, as his favorite movie.
Which one?
Hey, if you want to find out, you got to listen to Too Much Effing Perspective. That's Too Much EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.
Hey, this is Dewey Halpus, host of Peer Pleasure on the Sound Talent Media Podcast Network. Join me each week as I explore another long-form conversation with one of your favorite musicians, actors, comedians, or creatives. From Chino Moreno of the Deftones, John Gorley of Portugal the Man, to Fat Mike from NoFX and Ian MacKaye from Fugazi and Minor Threat, we go all over the map. From Fall Out Boy to Slayer, Peer Pleasure has it all. Check us out now on Sound Talent Media.
The Helping Friendly podcast explores the music and fan experience of Phish through interviews and deep dives on shows and tours. For more than 10 years, we've created insightful and fun discussions about our favorite band, and with the help of our guests and thematic series, we're still discovering new angles of appreciation for Phish. And when the band is on tour, we provide a review of every show the following day. As one of our listeners said, any Phish fans that enjoy meandering conversations and incredible insight on new and old Phish shows, this is for you. Highly recommend. It's not just about the band and the shows, it's about the journey getting there. Throughout 2024, we're going to be running down the top 25 Phish tours of all time, and that'll be interspersed with show reviews and regular episodes. Join us and check out the Helping Friendly podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the story of Whitney Houston,
This is the story of Kurt Cobain.
of George Michael, of Otis Redding, of Amy Winehouse, of Michael Hutchence, Bob Marley. This is the story of Prince,
It's a new podcast series.
about how they died, why they died, and why we're still talking about them so long after.
It's like nothing you've ever heard before.
It's storytelling.
But it's more than that, because rock stars,
They tell us how we feel. They change our mood,
they change the clothes we wear, the people we hang out with.
the way we remember things.
It's them who give us those ludicrous moments, the ones where you...
Jumping around, singing your heart out, feeling understood.
And it's those moments we'll help you remember, the ones you're thinking about right now.
That feeling.
That feeling.
It's coming soon from Crowd Network.
Just search for Death of a Rock Star on your podcast app.
And subscribe now.
And now, back to the show.
Moving on to Chappell Roan. The song is called Good Luck Babe. Written by Chappell Roan, Daniel Nigro, and Justin Tranter.
Do you know who Dan Nigro is, Chris?
I do not.
He played in a band from our world. In general, I say our world because actually, it's funny. After we recorded, Punchline recorded with Sean O'Keefe, it was like maybe 2 albums later, he produced a band called As Tall as Lions. Do you remember that band?
I do.
Yeah, that was Dan Nigro's band. Dan Nigro then, of course, in recent years, he was, the co-songwriter and producer for Olivia Rodrigo and also Chappell Roan.
Fair enough. Well, I knew I had recognized the name. That was one that I didn't get to. The song was released as a standalone single in April of 2024. Let's talk about that for a second. Back in the day, again, there'd be a whole album backing marketing plan from a label. You'd have a radio campaign. You'd have the tour coinciding with it. And here this song just goes out as a standalone single. Next thing you know, say what you want about technology, the internet, streaming, but it really has leveled the playing field. I mean, that's how Billie Eilish started. She was just some kid that started uploading her stuff to, I don't know, Bandcamp or something. And here she is. I think it's really cool.
You know what's interesting to me about this song being the one? This was really the year of Chappell Roan. She was huge this year. And I'm surprised it wasn't that song Hot to Go. She did release a whole album. I was a little bit ahead of the curve on this album because my buddy Steve sent it to me. He's like, you're going to love this. I listened to it. I'm like, yeah, I like a few songs on it. I'm not as crazy as you think I'm going to be about it. But it is surprising to me that the standalone single for Good Luck Babe was the song that was nominated for Song of the Year. Once again, it's that synth pop. Like, this almost reminds me of a more, to me, in my opinion, a little less inventive Kate Bush. There's something so Kate Bush about her that I don't see people talking about, from her style, from her actual way she dresses and stuff, to the music to a certain extent, just a little more accessible. I'll use that word again. A little more, a little more pop, I guess.
That's interesting you talk about style, and that was the reason why I didn't want to watch the videos. I just wanted to listen with my ears. But this thing reminded me, I'm going to go back to the 80s too, kind of like Prince, Bangles, bouncy pop. And I know the lyric references a compulsory heterosexuality relationship describing a lesbian woman trying to deny her romantic feelings for Roan and women in general, with lyrics such as, when you wake up next to him in the middle of the night with your head in your hand, you're nothing more than his wife. Mm-hmm. And Taylor talked about the wife in the last song. Now we're getting in a different context. But that lyric was funny to me because that's another lyric that I probably couldn't pull off. But what do you think of this song?
I wanted to say it's a big year for hating on people's wives in songs too, I will say.
Another dark song here.
Yeah, right. And also a big year for women in music. look, most of these songs are songs by women. I think that's cool. I probably listen to more women artists than I do men, to be honest. Like, I'm a big fan of female artists, so I think that's really cool. Chappell Roan, in general, I'm a sucker for pop music. Something about Chappell Roan doesn't connect with me. Like I said, Steve sent me her album before the big hubbub about her, and there were a couple songs on it where I'm like, this is cool. Something about it doesn't knock me out the way a lot of other pop art, the way Billie Eilish does. I don't know, even Olivia Rodrigo, who I really like. Something about Chappell Roan doesn't connect with me.
Yeah, I just haven't, I wanted to hear a big payoff. I wanted to hear a chorus, something that was just gonna knock me through the back wall, and I didn't get it with this track. I will say, 5 songs in, I have not hated anything. I haven't said anything is not worthy. I like what I've heard so far, in particular, the Bruno Mars, Lady Gaga collaboration. But next on the list, and we're going to get your take on this one.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling I know. This is Kendrick Lamar with Not Like Us.
Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles. Wop, 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 wop. That fuck 'em up. Wop, 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 wop. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. They not like us. 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 They not like us.
So I was all about the Kendrick versus Drake beef when it was happening. Chris, I cannot tell you a time that was more fun on TikTok and Reels and stuff were people's reaction videos when these guys were dropping their diss tracks back and forth for a couple weeks. It was so entertaining and fun, and got increasingly brutal in the diss tracks. So Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams, which was like this gritty, dark takedown of Drake, which accused him of sex trafficking and being a sexual predator and fathering a secret second child. And just the whole time it was like, I never wanted to listen to it again. It was that whatever. And at that point, everyone was like, oh no, Drake is not coming back from this. And then before Drake could even release his next song in response to that, the next day, Kendrick dropped this song, which was like dancing on Drake's grave at that point. Everyone was just like, it's over. Because the thing about this song is like, it is the most like upbeat, happy, joyous diss track ever. And it is rough. And I'll tell you the moment in this song, Chris, where it was so funny to watch people flipping out in reaction videos was the wop, 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 dot fuck 'em up. Wop, 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 wop. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. And when he said that, the first time I heard that, I was like, oh my God. And you saw these videos of people in real time listening to this song for the first time and going, like screaming, running around the room. At that point, it was over. Drake was done at that point.
I guess he released another song in rebuttal to this. Drake
He did, and it was so funny because it was a rebuttal song, basically being like defending himself, not coming back at Kendrick.
And this was the song that I was pointing out. Is this to sell songs? Is this beef? They used to be friends. Is this real? Is there anything to sue here for libel? Can Drake get in? There's some pretty strong accusations here. This seems to me a little contrived. Kendrick Lamar is pushing 40 years old. I don't know. It just seems a little bit, I don't know. I've lived through this before. Let's talk about the track real quick. The music is awesome. It's suspenseful. It almost seems like it could be out of like a Dick Tracy or something. It's got like that kind of vibe. His delivery is incredible. With the delivery, with the growl in his voice, I like everything about it. I just never knew about the feud. I never knew about it. So for me to try to grasp this and get it to where you're coming from, because you were in the tornado of it, you're watching it go live up on TikTok. But that was my take with this song.
If you watch or read like breakdowns of every lyric on this song and what it means, he does like quadruple entendres and stuff. He's such a wordsmith that it's impressive, and his delivery.
When I went through them, I saw the A minor referencing a chord, but also referencing the minor.
Yeah, right.
Trust me, nothing was lost on me with the lyrics. I'm sure there's other entendres in there. Maybe I didn't necessarily get, but sure. As far as the talent goes, this guy's up there. This song probably would have been with different lyrical content the song of the year for me out of these 8.
Okay.
As far as the track goes, awesome. His delivery is amazing. And as I said, probably song of the year if the lyrics were a little different for this guy.
Gotcha. I think the lyrics are genius. It's considered one of the greatest diss tracks in history. It's the longest running #1 song on the Hot Rap Songs chart ever. I would probably say the only thing, can a diss track win song of the year? That would be crazy.
That's another thing. That's a great point. Yeah. Can something this riveting? I mean, he's saying some stuff in here. And again, this lyric kind of fits the darkness of the rest of these. We've had a hell of a last 5 years, and this kind of like, are people ready to nominate a song of the year talking about sexual predators and stuff? Maybe.
Yeah, that's another part of it that makes me feel a little bit weird is like, look, I've heard this stuff about Drake. I actually like Drake's music. I mean, some of his earlier music. I thought he had a good run of great like pop albums. He's basically like a pop artist, and I liked what he did. And you have heard these accusations out there about him, but I personally don't know whether they're true or not. And for someone to say this and just us all believe it, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying like it's rough stuff.
Before we move on to the last 2 here, I do want to say I have nothing against Kendrick Lamar. I think he's one of the best going. I think if you told me a week ago, dude, listen to this song and explain some of the double entendres and whatnot in the feud, that I would have thought it was absolutely hilarious and genius over here. In the context we're talking about it right now for Song of the Year, some of the things in there disqualify it for me for Song of the Year.
That makes sense. And Chris, one more thing I'll say, it's funny about this like beef is that it was really, he really made it like it was USA versus Canada. It was like old wrestling, like making fun of like him being about Drake being from Toronto and stuff. Like it was a really funny part of it. It felt like old WWF wrestling or something,
That's great. Well, up next, the 7th song out of 8 is Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter.
Please, 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 don't bring me to tears when I just did my makeup so nice. Heartbreak is one thing, my ego's another. I beg you don't embarrass me, motherfucker. Oh. Please, please, please.
Sabrina and Chappell were the 2 artists that I was not familiar with before this. Sabrina's had a pretty good career. This is song Please, Please, Please. It's the 2nd single from her 6th album, Short and Sweet. Written by Sabrina, Amy Allen, and, you guessed it, Jack Antonoff, and produced by Jack Antonoff.
You could say this past year has been the year of Chappell Roan. You could also say this past year has been the year of Sabrina Carpenter. She has blown up this past year. I really like her. I thought I was not gonna like her album. She had a huge song, Espresso. I liked that song, but I was like, I'm not gonna like. And I actually ended up really liking her album. And she's also really funny. Like if you watch her music videos and stuff, she just got like a good sense of humor. I've seen things she does in her live show where I'm like, that's really funny. And this song, it's like a mix of these 8 songs. 3 of them are like either all out country or borderline country. This song is pretty country-ish. I see it described as like a mix of country and yacht rock.
I didn't hear the yacht rock. It said it's a country pop yacht rock song with disco pop influences. I could definitely hear the country pop disco pop influences. I don't know about yacht rock, but the verses of this song. Let's talk about that a little bit. It reminds me of something like Ironic from Alanis, or something that Taylor does. It's very Taylor-esque in like the conversation that Sabrina has with herself and the talking voice and the response, she'll talk and Taylor does that a lot, a little cutesy voice back and forth. So there's that. The production, much like Taylor's, is very crisp, very clean. Again, you talked about that, maybe that production fatigue. No knock against Jack, but this track just sounded very familiar to me. But I didn't hear that ironic chorus where it just soars. Yeah. Nothing took me in this one. I think the song is good. And I'll even go on a limb, Chris, and say, heck, what do I know? This was Sabrina's first #1 song, but being a pop guy myself and wanting to hear that payoff that I always talk about, that chorus, that lift, I didn't really get it here. What's your feelings on this song?
I think the main thing of this song, the payoff of this song, as silly as it sounds, is when she sings, "Heartbreak is one thing, my ego's another. I beg you, don't embarrass me, motherfucker."
Uh-huh.
When she sings, "motherfucker," I think it's that devil and angel on the shoulder of like this sweet sounding song, and then her singing the word motherfucker is what sells this song.
What age group, in your opinion, propelled this particular track to the #1 spot?
I would say it's the age group that propels all popular music, which would be teenage to college age girls.
Fair point. I would have to agree. I think when I had that written here, that motherfucker lyric appeals to in parentheses, to the kids. It's angsty. It's that. Yeah. How many times we talked about it? The hook doesn't have to be the chorus, as I just laid out, okay? Sometimes I look for those things, and we've talked about it on the show, where the hook could be that cowbell that comes in at the end. That's hey, you heard that song on the radio with the cowbell? You know which one they're talking about. Hey, have you heard the motherfucker song by that woman? You're gonna know which one it is. So maybe that lyric, and I think she says that only a couple times in the song, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the chorus. Yeah, it's in there. And hey, another thing I'm really impressed with for Sabrina Carpenter being a relatively young artist, this is her 6th album.
Yes.
It's not like this is her debut and she's coming out of nowhere. She's put out 6 albums.
That's what surprised me, is I hadn't heard of her. It just shows you how much stuff's out there, and how much, even though I think I'm in touch the last 5 years, you can just miss stuff. Life does get in the way. And now we're at #8. The last song we foreshadowed a little bit earlier. It's Texas Hold'em by Beyonce.
This ain't Texas. Ain't no Hold'em. Lay our cards down, 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 down. So park your Lexus. Throw your keys out. Stick around, round, 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 round. Stick around. And I'll be damned if I can't slow dance with you. Come pour some sugar on me, honey, too. It's a real live boogie and a real live hold down. Don't be a bitch, come take it to the floor. I'll be damned if I cannot.
Written by Beyonce, Brian Bates, Elizabeth Lowell Boland, Megan Bulow, Nate Ferraro, and Raphael Sadiq. That's a lot of writers, Chris.
She always has a lot of writers on her songs. And I mean, hey, that's the collaborative spirit. And if she could be the face of a great song, if she'd be the voice behind a great song, that's awesome. Obviously, she's also a writer on it.
A lot of cool stuff with this song. It was the lead single from her 8th studio album, Cowboy Carter. The song was a surprise release and debuted during Super Bowl 58 on February 11th, 2024. Ask me what I think about this song.
What do you think about this song, Chris?
I love this song.
Yeah? Okay.
I think this song's awesome. I think that it's so unexpected and out of the Beyonce wheelhouse that I automatically loved it just for that reason alone. This song reminds me of the Shaboozey song. I think it just makes you happy. I think this could appeal from 8-year-olds to 80-year-olds. How about you?
You know, it's interesting you bring up Shaboozey. Shaboozey is on a couple songs on this album. And Beyoncé is a Texan, grew up in Houston, grew up listening to country music, going to the rodeo, performing at the rodeo. So country music's huge right now, okay? And I think a lot of people could try to jump on that bandwagon. I've seen people from our world, Chris, try to jump on that bandwagon, and I roll my freaking eyes at it because it's so transparent and see-through. Beyonce, though, it's different. She came from this. It makes sense that she would make a country album, make a song like this, and make what I think is the best country song that I've heard this year.
It doesn't sound forced at all. It sounds natural. It doesn't sound like, oh, someone's jumping on the bandwagon.
Right.
You know, this sound has been around. I call it Americana, but it's, you know, really starting in the 2010s, much like American Authors and some of those tracks that were coming out, just kind of that four on the floor, tambourine sitting around the campfire style song. This song, Texas Hold'em, debuted atop the country songs chart. I mentioned that earlier, making Beyonce the first Black lady number one country song in Billboard history. So awesome. As you mentioned, she's from Texas. This is kind of natural, but on the outside, not knowing she's from Texas, knowing her world, this, you know, might look forced. It was everything but forced. I didn't know what I'd think about this when I first heard it. I was like, whoa, you know, and then I remember hearing this song recently somewhere. I'm like, oh, I've actually heard this. I think the track's awesome.
This is kind of like a mix of like pop and Western music, or, you know, Americana / Western music, which is slightly different.
It is. Well, you know, people talk about country music. Is it country Western or is it country? Because country now means country pop.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Country Western's a little more fiddle. It's a little more, you know, meet you at the dive bar and, you know, chew some tobacco type thing. But this is chew some tobacco with your pappy. All right, Chris, I have my pick for Song of the Year. I hope I'm right. We're less than a week out here from the 2025 Song of the Year.
Is this what your pick would be, or what you think is going to win?
Both.
Oh.
I'm going to give you, yeah. Okay. So I think that Kendrick Lamar, I think that song has a high probability of being the winner.
Okay.
I do. But I think Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile, that's my pick. Although, for Texas Hold'em, I wrote this song and Die With a Smile are the runaway leaders. This song may be a hair more unique. It's kind of a new sound, at least for Beyonce. But I have to stick to my guns. I have to go with my gut. There's something, I'll use the word again, classy about that Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars song. I think that's going to be Song of the Year.
So you think that Bruno Mars is going to win his third Song of the Year in the past decade?
I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, that's the song I would pick. I think Kendrick Lamar is a great contender, but I'm going to go with Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile, with honorable mention to Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. What do you got?
Oh, I am so torn. I told you I love the Billie Eilish song, but I could see where you're coming from, where it's just kind of like this pop song. Okay. I would probably be excited about a diss track winning Song of the Year just because it's so off the dome. Like, it's so like this moment captured on record and just so creative, such wordplay, and yet such a party anthem at the same time. This song became a song that people partied to and loved, even with the subject matter.
Let me add one more thing, Chris, not to interrupt you. Out of the 8 songs, I think that Kendrick's song is the most unique, but I'm sticking by my guess. What do you think's going to win? Come on. Drum roll, please.
Hard. This is so hard. You know what? I'm going to go with what I think is going to win. I'm not saying I want Kendrick to win just because that was such a fun moment when that was happening. What I think is going to win is Shaboozey. I think that song was so huge this year that I think that is going to win. And I think like Billie Eilish won 2 in the past 10 years. Bruno Mars has won 2 in the past 10 years. So I think they're not going to give it to either of those. And if Taylor Swift's song was a better song, I would think she'd be a shoo-in because they'd be like, nah, it's time. We got to give her the award at this point. I think Shaboozey's going to win.
That can't be discounted. That's a great take, a great wrap up. I think that has just as good of a chance. I don't know. There's we have our lines in the water. Thanks to everyone for listening today. This was a lot of fun. If you haven't joined our Patreon yet, go over to chrisdemakes.com. We got a bunch of really cool tiers over there. A lot of people have joined. We want to thank everybody who has signed up for our Patreon. We do a segment on the Patreon called The After Party. It's an extra bonus episode. And the follow-up after party to this episode, we will let you know if we were right or we were wrong. But man, this was a lot of fun, Chris. I would love to do this each year. This was awesome.
We should absolutely do this. And I have never had to make a tougher decision about what I thought was going to win here. There is no clear winner here.
Not at all. Not at all. Well, thanks to each and every one of you for listening and keeping the lights on, and we'll see you next week.
The number you have reached is 100.7 WMMS.
It wasn't just a radio station, it was a lifestyle.
Cleveland is a rock and roll city for sure.
We're gonna be like
Yeah!
Down! The Wrath of the Buzzard. WMMS. Cleveland.
The rise and fall of one of the most iconic radio stations in America. Profiles. The Wrath of the Buzzard. PROH Files. Subscribe now wherever you get podcasts.
I don't think it overstates things to say that the Beatles were the greatest gift to entertainment and culture of our time, a secular religion, if you will, with their universal appeal and demonstrable impact on people's lives. I'm Robert Rodriguez, host of Something About the Beatles. With every episode, I speak with historians, musicians, artists, and Beatle witnesses, all in the service of fresh insights into the most joyous cultural entity the world has ever known. I hope you'll join me and listen to Something About the Beatles, now on Evergreen and wherever you get your podcasts.